So I like Mike Zimmer. I respect what he's done here. I love the Clint Eastwood outlaw Josie Wells type of attitude he's brought to the team. I think he shook up the culture here in Minnesota and restored a toughness that this team hasn't had since like Bug Grant was roaming the sidelines, or the Les Steckel year, and then we got more Bug Grant. Yeah, those days. But I truly believe that the 63-year-old Zim is coaching for his job on Sunday. So let's get into why. Also get into why you should subscribe to this channel for daily Vikings takes and content, all playoffs and all offseason long as the Vikings go down to Tampa. Oh, Miami. It's Tampa next year. And hoist that Jerome Barty. Oh, it's good times. Also, Jerome's not like is already in. Helps new people find the show. So, Zimmer, pros and cons. Pros first, because those are easy. Pro Zimmer turned the 2013 32nd ranked defense in the NFL, the final year under Leslie Frazier, the 5-10-1, into one of the best units in the league. He's won 2 division titles in 6 years. He has 3 double-digit win seasons in those aforementioned 6 years. He has only 1 losing season, which was his rookie year in 2014 at a robusto 7-9. And also, he's endured a lot of injuries, including to himself as well as personnel. I mean, his franchise quarterback's leg fell off. You know, the quarterback that he just won a division with the year before, leg just gone. Cool. Yeah. Con Zimmer, I mean, his team regularly no-show in big-time games or once or twice a year in just random games. You look at Buffalo. You look at the Colts game 3 years ago. You look at the Denver game for the most part this year. Yeah. And he consistently abdicates responsibility for the offense. He wants to hire a head coach for the offense, which is fine, but also the buck needs to stop with him because he ultimately is, at the end of the day, the head coach of the football team and not just the defensive coordinator with the challenge flag. So at times he just doesn't really sink into that job. He gets out coached at times against better head coaches, and also you just get this gnawing feeling that he's plateaued, where Zimmer's good. Will he ever be great? Will he ever be Super Bowl champion caliber? I don't really know. And that's fine. I mean, some fans and owners will settle for good. I mean, Marvin Lewis was in Cincinnati for 16 years, even though he never won a playoff game. Of course, where you think Zimmer learned it. But also, on the other side of the coin, you look at what Gary Kubiak did for all those years in Houston, where he was making the playoffs, he was making a little bit of noise, he won a playoff game with TJ Yates, and then Houston eventually moved on because they thought that they plateaued under Gary Kubiak. Fast forward to him in Denver, he wins the Super Bowl with the corpse of Peyton Manning. So maybe this isn't a time where the Vikings need to S or get off the pot. But, you know, if the Vikings do drop a deuce down in NOLA, the holy trinity of deuces, I mean, that will be back-to-back no-shows in the 2 biggest games of the year. I mean, whatever that was on Monday night against the Packers with the division on the line. 7 first downs? 7. Yeah. And then if you toss in a stinker in the playoffs in the biggest game of the year in wildcard weekend, I think all bets would be off. And also, if you think back, just reverse engineer this. If ownership was completely sold on Zim and or Spielman on Zimmer, or some combination of that, why did the team only give Zimmer a 1-year Band-Aid extension last offseason? Because he was headed into a contract year this year, and they only gave him the 1-year extension so that he wouldn't be a lame duck, as teams and coaches don't really like doing that, right? And also, as his team was putting up a double-digit win season this year and was in the thick of things, why didn't they ink into a long-term deal now? Or how about now? Or anytime during this offseason? So they're still theoretically just letting him sail into this offseason with 1 year left on his deal, which... Okay, I think the Wolves are in wait-and-see mode. I mean, same thing with Spielman, as I think his bacon is firmly near the skillet as well. And I get the argument. Like, if Blair Walsh didn't shank a 27-yard field goal, Zimmer would have 2 playoff wins. I mean, that is true. But also, on the other side of that coin, if Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs didn't hit a one-outer, going all Buffalo right 7 heaven against the Saints, Zimmer would have 0 playoff wins, including blowing a 17-point halftime lead at home against the Saints in the division round that year. So that would not be great either, and we could play the what-if game on certain plays all the time, right? And then also, don't get me started on 38-7. Like, your team has a chance to play a home Super Bowl, and you get the troops fired up for that. Cool. And then you look at recent Vikings history. I mean, you look how they did Denny Green back in the day. I mean, Denny had 1 losing season in 10 years. 1. His final year, we went 5-10 before he stepped aside and Mike Tice came in. And also during Denny's tenure, they won 4 playoff games. They won the division 4 times. They made the playoff 8 times, and also made 2 NFC title games. And they ran him out of town. And there wasn't dry amongst the fan base, right? So at a certain point, was Denny done dirty? I mean, sure. But also, I sort of understood it, because was Denny ever a threat to win a Super Bowl? Did the team think that he had plateaued? I mean, maybe. I still think Denny got a raw deal, but that's an argument for another day. I mean, teams felt like they couldn't get to the next level, and this happens at times with coaching staffs. And are we at that point right now with Zimmer? I mean, if the Vikings lose to the Saints on Sunday, or do we wait another 3 to 4 years, kick the can down the road without hoisting a Jerome Barty, and then fire him anyway? I mean, that's certainly the inflection point where the Vikings could be at this year. Now, is the goal is the goal to win a Super Bowl, or is the goal to be competitive, give it your all, make the playoffs every other year, and then go one and done? Like, is that it? I mean, for some fan bases, sure. I mean, the aforementioned Bengals being among them. I think ownership is certainly fine with that. Now, yes, you do need to be careful, because the devil you know is usually better than the devil that you don't, or can be sometimes. Now, if you take that line every time, though, like if we're on The Price is Right, and you never take showcase number 2, you never know if it's a trip to Italy and a new car. But hey, have fun with your Zenith TV and your new jet skis, even though you live in Nebraska. So that's a lot of fun. Sometimes good is just not good enough, and sometimes you do have to take the chance. So I think right now the calculus is simple against the Saints. Beat the Saints, Zimmer keeps his job, maybe extension. Lose a close game to the Saints, who knows? Probably keeps his job. Doors blown off, embarrassed in New Orleans. I think I would lean towards Mike Zimmer getting fired. And that's just the way it is. Now, there's one surprise firing every single NFL offseason for coaches. I mean, could Zimmer be it this year? If things go wonky down in New Orleans, it's possible, unless they trade him to the Cowboys, which, you know. All right, your thoughts. Is Zimmer coaching for his job on Sunday? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, below some of the Venmo. Plus, give us a follow on social media as well. But the next time, Skol, production value.